Preventing risks and analyzing events through social media analysis. How to characterize the discourse of the digital ultra-right for an interdisciplinary method of terrorism prevention by Professor Seraphin ALAVA, PhD Nawel CHAOUNI, Yasmine Charles from the University of Toulouse-Jean Jaurès in France. Over the past few years, the Internet has become the main daily medium used by young people aged between 15 and 25 years old. The relationship between terrorist groups and the media has been evolving for a long time. Towards the end of the 19th century in France, anarchist attacks soon gave way to other terrorist temporalities, such as propaganda and recruitment. In the UNESCO report, which we published on the links between social media and radicalization, we noted the growing role of social network in propaganda and young activist recruitment, and this applies to all extremist movements. As early as 2001, in the context of the US terrorist attacks, the Internet became the focus of concern for intelligence services and international organizations. The fight against terrorism involves combating the presence of extremist theories, speeches and propaganda on the Internet. Removing links, websites, videos and explicit terrorist or extremist content is becoming a research priority, and the technological response is lacking. This fight against radical online speeches also gave rise to another policy known as counter-discourse. Counter-discourse is a concept which emerged in the US and is the result of argumentation. Counter-discourse only works when a discourse is identified as to be fought against. The American perspective, which resulted from this period in time, rapidly gained momentum and spread to Europe. This led terrorism to be considered as a civilizational issue, rather than a political or geostrategic issue. Terrorists tend to base their discourse on hatred, exclusion, rejection. Preventing terrorism means building tools to counter, argue, and discredit hateful discourse. Counter-speech is based on argumentation, logic, validity, and proof. This method must be used as a voluntary communication approach. The Council of Europe report published on April 19, 2018 concludes that the use of counter-speeches against terrorist speeches alone are not sufficient. It is essential to develop a positive, preventive and credible alternative discourse at European level, promoting common values to facilitate dialogue, encourage awareness and dispel false information. To do so, we first need to define terrorist discourse and its characteristics. In the framework of the Flyer project, which aims to use artificial intelligence for analyzing extremist content on the Internet, we set ourselves the task to identify and build a database for two types of radicalization, Salafist jihadism and the ultra-right wing. We then sought to characterize these discourses and, thanks to artificial intelligence, to build technological tools that will allow us to locate these discourses on the Internet and thus alert user services such as police, defense, intelligence, access providers and hosts. Our project methodology is based on three main aspects. The first step consists in the definition and characterization of the main concepts to be taken into account for the analysis of extremist online content. These concepts are linked to a constellation of notions, which include extremism, terrorism, online radicalization, violent speech, or online hate. The second step consists in characterizing digital content, such as messages or conversations, according to lexical, discursive, and semantic viewpoints, in order to ensure an in-depth understanding of online extremist content. The third step is related to the dynamics of extremist content. From a content analysis perspective, extremist content on the internet is often associated with weak signals, rapid rise, and variable noise levels. The main challenge is to develop models capable of capturing and describing conversations and messages conveying extremist ideas, while adapting to their constant evolution. The database tagger is a computer application used to automate and facilitate the process of assigning a set of data. The content of these datasets is tagged with the desired tags associated with particular analysis tools. This tool allows for the creation of datasets required for the next analysis module. In addition, it will allow these datasets to be expanded in the future by easily adding and tagging more texts, and thus contributing to improved database performance and reliability, as well as developing analysis tools. The persistence layer contains all information related to the database tagger, such as tagging, projects, users, text and image datasets, or tagging results. This module detects patterns of suspicious language in messages. The patterns use lexical features, such as lemmas or POS, and syntactic features from a dependency parser to identify parts of the text that match the pattern. This also draws on related terms to increase the initial set of patterns. This module detects patterns of suspicious language in messages. The patterns use lexical features, such as lemmas or POS, and syntactic features from a dependency parser in order to identify parts of the text that match the pattern. This also draws on related terms to increase the initial set of patterns provided by the user. The Europol organization report published in 2019 uses the term right-wing terrorism or extreme right-wing radicalization to distinguish the movement from legal opinions, parties, public actions carried out by legal nationalists or right-wing extremism, but also to distinguish violent extremist actions from extremist opinions that are not illegal. This report links violent radical movements not only to terrorist acts, but also to the expression of violent and hateful behavior in public or in the media. Radical right-wing extremist groups are most easy to identify in the public space and in the media. The right-wing extremist scene varies widely from one EU member state to another. There is a wide variety of spaces for demonstrations and transmission modes, but the fascosphere includes all these groups in their various expressions. For instance, National Socialists, Nazis, or fascist neo-groups. The ultra-right's repertoire of actions gives pride of place to digital actions. The term fascosphere is often criticized and other names are sometimes preferred: rigosphere, reinfosphere, or patriosphere. However, everyone agrees that there is a space for communication, propaganda, action, interaction, recruitment and coordination of extreme right-wing groups in cyberspace. To construct a representation of different ultra-right groups, we did not analyze any group's political positions or forms of political action. Using a textual analysis tool called Irimutek, we analyzed a sentence-based tagging which we collected from 56 websites. We chose to identify the chosen groups based on their internal relations, on their oppositions, and on automated textual analysis. This work was based on a random sampling of speeches delivered by initiators, of text written by supporters, and on key concepts mentioned on the first page of the target group's websites. This analysis led us to define 4 characteristics which we could use to identify ultra-right groups' thematic orientations on the Internet. Fundamentalists. The fundamentalist category is largely composed of groups of individuals who are active on networks and on the web on the basis of adherence to an original purity of Christian faith, identity, or mode of society. Defenders. The defender category consists of groups, websites, or social network posts which are formed in reaction to a threat to the group's original identity, core culture, or personal values. Faced with these potential dangers, these groups will base their discourse on the ideas of victimization and danger. Nostalgics. The nostalgic category comprises groups of individuals who value a time or a saving ideology in the face of a perceived danger. Fighters. Groups belonging to the fighter category express an urgent need to win a battle. Their speeches are usually calls to action in response to previous attacks on chosen scapegoats, or warlike interpretations of random facts, which they decide to perceive as a proof of danger. Our methodology is based on models and resources created by sociological researchers to characterize content according to lexical, discursive, and semantic criteria. The project relies on supervised adaptive learning, a hybrid paradigm made to increase learning algorithms, with adaptive mechanisms capable of acquiring new descriptors in order to recognize and follow the evolution of concepts. The project thus implements